Okay. I don't know if I've changed anything, but hopefully this works. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen it spin yet, but maybe I've lost all of you because he was like sick and tired of me having a drop. Hopefully it works though. It's been 30 seconds. I haven't seen that. So that's a good thing. If you're seeing me, uh, be goofy. That's great. Let me know in the chat. That way I can make sure it's working for people. Oh my god, that was a. Again, I have no idea. I have no idea what changed. What? I mean, okay. I changed one thing. Um, I have my network at home is Omada, and so I went in and it looks like I had to update my. Now it's saying new controller software is available. I thought I just updated that. I don't want to do that now. But hopefully, yeah, good. Okay, I haven't seen. I get a little worried because I sometimes will just not move, and so in the picture it looks like I'm not moving. It's like, oh no, it's hung again. But no, it seems to be working well. I also noticed something just earlier today. I have a tendency of looking at down here rather than at you. And because I was going through yesterday's stream, the day before, well, basically any of the streams. Uh, and I noticed that because I wanted to pull out chunks out of the stream and then re-record, not re-record, but edit it down so that I can then publish those as separate videos that, so somebody can watch just what was special about working at Ollama, or what was the other one I did? Oh, not putting too much into the vector database because, or at least being able to segregate or set the context. And as I was editing the video, I was like, man, I am always looking, you're here, I'm looking down here. I need to remember, I need to have a label on my screen that says, look at the camera. And also, the other thing I learned looking at all these videos, look at the camera, and when somebody asks a question and I start answering it, say the question. And this is something I know from doing so many presentations at reInvent and at all sorts of other events, other conferences. Always repeat the question, and it's hard to remember to do that, especially when there's not a crowd that I can see. So it sounds like the stream might be working. It's been 3.5 minutes, and I haven't seen any buffering. It doesn't make any sense to me that it works now. Well, okay, I did two things. I updated the software on the controller for my home network on the Omada controller, and I rebooted this machine, this Mac Mini. And it's probably been a couple months since I last rebooted, so maybe there was something going on that I don't know about, but yeah. Although I am a little concerned because it's 4 minutes in and I got one comment saying it's working here. So if somebody else could comment saying, no, it's still working. Because I have in the past, I did a stream, and oh, good, nice. I did a stream. Oh man, it was frustrating. I was like really into it, and I talked for like I feel like I talked for an hour, 2 hours, and I was very excited about something. And then when I got to towards the end, I noticed, nobody ever showed up for this one. That's so weird. Oh, I didn't actually start the stream. It's like, how did I do such a silly thing? Quack Allsafe, is your name because of Quack the beer, perhaps? There's a bar that I love going to. Oh, let me close my blinds. There's a bar that I love. Every time I'm in Amsterdam, I go to a place called Café Belgique. We go down, where's it? Along the Kalverstraat, and then just off of that, I feel like it's like 1 or 2 streets past the entrance to the Amsterdam City Museum, and there is the Café Belgique, and that Café Belgique, and then just before that, but a little bit further over, is in Development, another fantastic place where I've always had both really good beers and really horrible beers, but I've always had a great experience. And having the stack of games in the back. Oh, I've spent hours and hours and hours at Cafe in Development, and then one other one I used to spend a lot of time at up towards in the Waag, I think it is the way station, the old way station that's still there, that's now a restaurant. Hello, Matt from Melbourne, Australia. Melbourne. I haven't spent a whole lot of. I mean, I've probably been to Melbourne um, let's see, maybe 7, 8 times. Yeah, probably 8 times. Although only one time did I actually go to. Isn't there the along the river there, like a whole bunch of these towers that are like shoot up huge flames. Feel like that's in Melbourne, but I used to go to Melbourne. As I say, not. Oh yeah, on the Yarra River. Yes. So I used to go to Sydney a lot. I'd go about 5 times a year to Sydney when I was living in Amsterdam, and then often take the drive. Because the company would pay for a flight, or if I wanted to drive, I just drive, because I was doing classes, 3-day classes in learning how to use WriteFax, because I was working for a company called OpenText, and 3 days, oh darn, you can't fit more than one class in a week, and so I do Tuesday to Thursday, and then Tuesday through Thursday the next week in Melbourne, and so I'd often drive down and around, and I loved that drive, but I also loved going to Melbourne. But for some reason, I only went on to that Yarra River, walk one time. That probably the first time I ever went to Melbourne. I don't know why. I spent a lot of time. I used to go to, as I say, to Sydney about 5 times a year for about 10 years. So there's about 50 Australia stamps in my pair of probably 2 passports. Oh my God. Smoky. Loving the Ollama content. Awesome. Loved your no crew AI BS video. Yes. Well, so I mean, I'm torn about crew AI. I want it to be better. I feel like it can be better. It's just too much fluff in it. And I think towards the end of that video, I mentioned how it reminded me of early days of Windows programming, when I would hold at the beginning, there was really that one book by Charles Petzold, and you'd crack open that book and you'd go through and just try to get anything working, and it would just be reams of what felt a boilerplate, basically, that you had to get in there, and I feel like that's the stage that not just, I mean, it's not just crew, it's all of these agent interfaces, and they're all based on, I think they're all based on a paper that talked about React, about reasoning and action, I think was what React stands for. And so I got something gunky there. I did some yard work yesterday, and bits of stuff flying on my glasses. Oh, it's not snowing anymore. Yeah. Okay. But I think my problem is the whole needing to have. So in the React paper, I just kind of skimmed it. I didn't really read it. Does anybody actually read those papers? But anyway, there's a. It talks about. I think that's where it talks about, you know, creating a task and creating an agent, and so all of these agent frameworks or task and is it agent task and whatever it is, run the paper through Fabric. Yeah. So they're trying to base it on this paper. And I don't think the paper is actually the best. I mean, the idea of having these agents is amazing, and yes, you should totally do it to automate, you know, your workflows, because it can be amazing and incredible to do. I just don't like any of the frameworks that are out there, and I think you can do it so much better just doing it on your own. Is there a way to run Ollama proms in another language? Proms. Ollama proms. I don't know what proms is. So I'd like to say yes, except I don't know what proms mean. So hopefully, Sezgin Amit Karatas. That's a cool name. Sezgin. Sezgin, where are you from? Is that a common name there? Because that sounds really interesting. Thanks for your videos from Wayne C. Your content is valuable and your presentation is clear. Thank you. Turkey. I have always wanted to go to Turkey, but I have never gotten a chance. So what is proms? What did you mean by proms? I'm trying to while I'm here. I know where Turkey is, but I was kind of trying to remember what's next to Turkey. Oh, yeah. Yeah, what's the closest I've been to Turkey? I think the closest I've ever gotten to Turkey is probably is it as far as Croatia? Yeah, maybe Budapest? No, Croatia's a little closer than Budapest, Hungary. And definitely closer than Slovakia. Those three places I've been. And I guess I've been, well, no. The parts of Russia that I've been to are way north. And the parts of Middle East are way east. So I've never, yeah, Turkey. Love to go to Turkey. Anyway, what was prompts? So, oh, is there a way to run Ollama? Oh, in other languages. Okay. There is one of the things that came out. Let's hold on. Let's change something real quick. Turn that on, and MacBook Pro. Hopefully, we're gonna see something. There we go. Okay. Oh, we don't want to look at that. We want to go to ollama.ai or .com, and I feel like in the latest version, there's another version. 4.1 fixes issues on Windows 10 and 11 with Intel CPUs. Oh, well, that's interesting. Oh, it's not taking advantage of the Intel GPU, integrated GPU. It's just not going to result in error. That's good. Okay, so in releases 1.40, I think, was it 4.0 or maybe it was 3.9? Yeah, in 3.9, there's a new model, Cohere Aya, supports 23 languages. I hate the fact that Ollama doesn't show much detail in their model pages. But let's see if this one, looking at the blog post, what languages are supported. Because basically although these models were originally designed, well, the Transformers paper talked about the power being for translation, and yet most models are done with English in mind. But it is interesting to see that some of these models have other languages and are really good at multiple languages. But I can't see the... Now there's a report. Which languages? Oh, you use that model. Cool. Turkish is... Oh, cool. So is there a way to run Ollama? Is the question about the program, and is Ollama itself what's the term for, can you switch it to other languages? And that I know is no. Not for any good reason. It just, I don't think it has that internationalization hasn't been done. So sorry if I misunderstood the question at the beginning. I think you're asking, can the UI or the language of the program be changed? And no, it's not. No, it can't. I think that's the question. Not sure about Fabric though. Too much CLI for 2024. Possibly use Python as a front end. From Wayne C. Okay. You can run Ollama from other languages. Okay, yeah. Bazooka Tooth. Did you ask a question? It's a cool name. Once I was able to save output directly to Obsidian, I use it more now. Talking about Fabric, I assume. Cool. Does Ollama JSON mode work under the hood? Is it doing something with the probs? Probs? What's probs? That actually force it to do JSON, or is it just adding extra prompt text? I have no, how does JSON mode or format JSON actually work? Somebody asked that recently, and I suggested that it was little magical fairies that work inside your computer, which obviously is not. I say obviously, I assume is not correct. But how does it actually work? I don't know. I know that it does, and that it works very reliably as long as you do it you right. So with JSON mode or format JSON, you need to provide the parameter of format JSON in the API call, and you need to add output as JSON in the prompt. You can, I think, go without that piece, but it works more reliably with it. And then ideally you provide a template or a schema. Now with the schema, I have seen different performance, different results when using a schema versus kind of more of a template. And in Llama 3 specifically, I know, well, in previous models, Llama 2 and other models, I could give it a schema where I said, this is always a string, and this is, here's a description of what this value is. And with Llama 3, I wasn't able to do that reliably. Seems to work when they give it examples. Yeah, few shot examples are is great. And that is probably the most reliable way to do it, is to say format as JSON in the prompt, set the format JSON in the request parameters, and then provide it to at least one example. Do you recommend me to learn Bun.js? No, I recommend, I think if you have any friends who are developers, I think I feel like the answer is basically the same answer as when people ask, what camera should I buy? Trust me, this is related. What camera should I buy? And because I used to work at a camera shop. So back when I was growing up, I grew up on this island off the coast of Miami called Key Biscayne, and there was a camera shop, Bristol's Camera. And I used to work there from the time I was 16. Actually, I was like a few months away from 16. But I worked there from about 16 till I was, I graduated college. And so people knew me as, the camera guy. And people would ask, well, what camera should I buy? And the answer is always, what do your friends have? If your friends all have Nikon, buy a Nikon. If your friends all have Canon, buy a Canon, because then you can borrow lenses and you can work together and be together, and you all learn. And I think, what language should you learn? Well, I guess there's, it's going to be, as a first language, it's going to be a Python versus JavaScript. I think generally JavaScript is better, but and not just JavaScript, but TypeScript specifically. But that's just me, and I think some people love Python as the way to go, or Go or Rust or whatever they like. I think Python and TypeScript, or Python and JavaScript are probably more applicable to most things. I like TypeScript, I like JavaScript specifically because it's a little easier to get everything installed versus Python, and it's a lot easier to keep it running. I find that my Python environment always gets screwed up. I always keep trying to do things better, and it always gets screwed up. And so I like JavaScript because once you've got Node.js installed, it's pretty much, it's really hard to screw it up. You can screw it up, but it's hard to screw it up. And then if you're going to be doing JavaScript, again, I prefer TypeScript, which is usually going to be compiled or transformed back into JavaScript. But then I like, for running TypeScript, I was using Dino for a long time. And Dino is basically the guy who created Node.js was sick and tired of all the stupid things he did creating Node.js. And so he made a better Node.js, and he called it Dino, which is just Node slightly rearranged. And so he created that. And then Bun.js came out more recently, which is a little bit more compatible with the original JavaScript, but also all the benefits of Dino. And it was now I prefer Bun as my favorite way of running TypeScript and JavaScript. So should you learn it? I don't know. Sure. But do you have to learn that first? I don't know. And other people are mentioning C++. No, no, don't learn C++. C, oh, maybe. um, I mean, I guess what would be my first programming language? I guess it would have been. I mean, it was Turbo Pascal, and which was Borland. I feel like I would have done something else before that. Before, I mean, there was Basic, um, and what else was I? There was some programming language on the Commodore 64 that in some application we had. I feel like I might have started with that, and it might have been more of a kind of a visual language. Um, and then in school, it was C and C++, and Schema was another language, which was a Schema was the language we used in a artificial intelligence programming course. It's based on Lisp, and so those were and then from there it was I was doing a lot of PHP. Well, at the time I was doing it was PHP FI, and then since then they've dropped the FI off of PHP. I was doing a lot of that stuff. I did a lot with, I guess when I joined Microsoft, I switched mostly to C#, and did a lot of C#. Oh, there was a period of Java in there for a while. And then I think when I switched over to Mac, I never really got into Objective-C or Swift, but I tend to do most things in TypeScript, occasionally forcing myself to do a little bit of Python, but also a lot of Go. Have not ever touched Rust. How old are you? How old do you think I am? I mean, I guess if I'm mentioning Turbo Pascal, kind of, and the fact that our first computer at home, my dad would bring home a computer from work, and it was a computer from a company called, I think it was Northgate. No, not Northgate. That was something like Northgate, not Gateway. I mean, that's much later when the PCs came out, but uh, it ran. I want to say it ran CP/M. It was way before DOS. It would have been mid-70s that we brought that home. All I knew how to do with it was play Wumpus, and I played that for ages. So does that tell you how old I am? I'm how old am I? What year is it? It's 2020. It's 2024. I'm 53. Yeah, people always say that the Python environment is going to be so easy to set up in the future, and this future never happens. I've heard that so many times. So sure, except that's only on Windows. I wouldn't go back to Windows ever. But that's just me. Hey, I'm a Mac person now. Recommending learning some Go? Sure. I mean, I recommend learning everything. And you learn a little bit with each language, and you get better in whatever language you prefer. And so, yeah, you should totally learn Go. You should definitely learn Lua is great. I use Lua on my Mac with a piece of software called Hammerspoon, which is really cool for automation stuff. So should you learn language X? Absolutely, whatever X is. Is schema still valuable? Okay. I hated dealing with it back then. The only thing I liked about schema was the fact that the class that I was in was Introduction to Artificial Intelligence Computing, or no, Introduction to Artificial Intelligence Programming. And the teacher taught it from his office. Basically, it was, I don't know, maybe 4 people, 5 people in the class, and his office was in the Supercomputer Research Institute at Florida State. I went to school at Florida State University in Tallahassee, Florida, and so this was taught there. Now, the thing about Tallahassee, or basically Florida, you could say basically the whole southeast of the U.S., it gets hot and muggy and disgusting and and you just want to be indoors. Florida State University is a pretty big campus, and there's some hills in the campus, especially as you get towards the front gate. But and so if you're on a bike or even walking, you're gonna sweat and it's uncomfortable, especially because it's gonna be 90 plus degrees, even hotter now, and muggy, like 90%, 100% humidity, just awfulness. And so you go into the Supercomputer Research Institute, and the temperature was nice and cool and dry. I was just like, oh, I could sit in here forever. And then we also had we got to work on the there were a whole bunch of computers like in all the hallways that were all set up for obviously doing important things, but they were these big RS-6000s with massive monitors. I don't know, massive at the time. They were probably 20 something inches. And it was always dark in there. It was just so nice versus being outside in Tallahassee. Assembly. I hated my assembly courses because we did 8088 assembly. I hated that. Yeah, confuse the crap out of me. Yeah, totally. Assembly can do that to you. Still use Lisp. Well, that is interesting. I did not know that Lisp was still a thing. Huh. Oh, what's the pro? Is there? I remember being on. I feel like the subway in Boston, and somebody was doing something with some audio programming environment, and said, "Oh, this is the coolest thing ever," and was really into it. I think I played with it briefly, and then never played with it again. Use Lightning AI. Those times I know fight Python environments. I'm talking about AI agents I feel like I missed something. Porch. Okay. From Mikhail. Hello, Matt. Really like your video about RAG and the ability to form your own request for a vector database through expert assessment. How difficult is it to do this with open vector databases? Ability to form your own request from a vector database. Okay. How difficult is? I mean, with open vector data, I assume you mean most open source vector databases. I mean, it depends on the database. There's some vector databases that are really super simple, and they're not really much you can do with it. And I think those. I mean, I think it's pretty easy to work with most of those databases. And the really easy ones are I think Chroma DB is about as easy as it gets. Hinky Doodle in R. I remember taking a course in basically cleaning data. I made it. It must have been a basic, getting started with R, but most of it was cleansing data, and that was. I feel like I did it on Coursera. Why is so much energy needed to create an LLM? Just is. It's a lot of processing, because basically you're making your. I don't understand what the actual nodes are, but you're creating all these nodes, and then they process the data, and they're basically looking at each document or each source material and saying, okay, well, in this case, in order to recreate this thing, we have to connect these nodes, basically create a weight, and the weight connects the nodes and makes them closer or further apart. And as you work through all the data, that's you're just tuning all those parameters. The weights add up to be parameters, and that's 7 billion parameters or 70 billion parameters. And so you're bringing huge amounts of text or data into these models and tweaking each of these 70 billion parameters over and over and over and over again, millions of times. And that just takes a lot of time because there's a huge amount of data. Self-taught, forced myself through MIT's schema course. Also Donald Knuth, which was rough on me. Yep. Yeah, I have not. My only involvement with MIT is, so for a while we lived in Charlestown, which is just to the east of Cambridge. I guess, is it east or northeast? Along the Charles River. And actually, no. Yeah. Why am I talking about that? No. So we lived in Charlestown, but before that, I lived in an apartment block in Boston called Church Park, and I worked at a company in the Cambridge Innovation Center, a company called Playster. And so my commute was getting a city bike. I think it was called City Bikes, near my apartment, ride it along, go over the bridge, go right up to the main buildings that you always see in any picture of MIT, leave the bike there, and then walk through the campus because it was totally open campus, and so you could walk through, and it was great walking through these halls that were just, you could feel the intelligence, and go through, and and then get to the other end, walking through beautiful air-conditioned comfort, especially during the summer. Even during the winter, it was nice and warm in there. You go through and then pick up another one of these city bikes, which are all over the city, and ride it the rest of the way to CIC. Hey, Matt, could you do a breakdown? Oh, my computer went asleep. Hey, Matt, could you do a breakdown of the different model types? Currently working on Lava with Ollama, and the dev team will be adding Phi-3 vision soon, but I also need audio embeddings with text. I mean, as far as I know, the only models that are supported by Ollama are Llama and Lava. Well, I guess there are different types. I need to learn that myself. So that would probably be a good thing to do. Let's see. Where am I storing my ideas now? I don't know. I'm going to go find my notebook. One of my problems is I always come up with a place to store all my ideas, and then I forget about that place, and I need a new place. So what did I say? Let's go to the notebook. Go to the mattresses, right? I feel that's a phrase somewhere. All right, so this is breakdown of, I have to go a few pages in because my daughter has found this notebook and drawn scribbles throughout it. Cool. Good idea. Can I say props to you, Matt? Yes, you can say props to me. Doing my PhD right now in AI in cancer research at a medical center. And a lot of info decisions our lab has made has been due to your analysis of my. That's so nice. Where are you, Akash Tripathi? Um, Ollama rocks. Yeah, I agree. Matt Williams, do you have any experience with Mojo? I got a little Mojo. No, no. Moffat. Oh, Moffat. Like as in Silicon Valley area, right? The big airfield. Or is it a different Moffat? There could be other Moffats. Tampa, Florida. That is not where I thought. Huh. So I was at, last time I was in Tampa, I was at CIVO. CIVO had a conference that they held in Tampa, a really cool area. God, what was it? I got an Airbnb right there. It was right on the, it was some, God, what was it called? The Armory or Armament or something like that. Right in Tampa. It was great. I think it was in Tampa. But anyway, that was a year ago, 2 years ago. What did I talk about? Oh, it must have been a year ago. And I feel like I might have talked about. Did I talk about SSH? I don't know what I talked about. First ML department at a hospital. Cool. My sister runs a medical school, or runs part of a medical school. I guess the research side of the med school at University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, down in south, the bottom of the Texas. Okay, so I think you were actually asking a question. So, do you have any experience with Mojo? I don't know what Mojo is. Have you seen more and more recently as a crazy fast version? Oh, crazy fast version of Python. I hate it already. Mojo, Python. Programming language for all AI developers. Oh, come on. I have not seen anything about this, but maybe that is an interesting thing to look at because I don't know anything. I know nothing. Mojo. I feel like I should drink Moxie while learning about Mojo. Moxie, I think, is like a soft drink in some region of the country. Art of Computer Programming series is rough without guidance. Yes, I want to read those. Oh, I scrolled somewhere. I want to read those. It's so darn expensive to buy. Oh, I guess that's regards to Art of Programming series. Not a programmer, but a university professor. And I want to create my own accumulated knowledge base and connect it with an LLM. That's why I'm looking towards RAG. Yeah, yeah. I think I've mentioned this a few times. I mentioned on the last stream as well as on, well, any chance I've had. One thing about creating your own knowledge base of all the typically, I mean, at least for me, I don't have one area that I focus on. I'm not just learning about AI models. I'm learning about, what was I learning about? The other day I had to learn about, I bought a new, like mulcher thing to put in our yard so we could throw all the leaves and weeds and they grind up into small pieces. So I have stuff about, well, basically don't stick your fingers in it, but learning stuff about that. I there's a bunch of plants I need to know about because I need to weed stuff because it's just going crazy in our yard. But then there's also LLM stuff, and then there's also, well, all the photography stuff that lights and stuff, and then there's the pool, or we have a little hot tub in the sort of backish, frontish yard, and I need to know about. So I've got all this data about that, and I have all the manuals for all the equipment in the house, and the fridge, and the steam oven, and all these other things in the house, and so all that might go into my knowledge base. So it's important whenever you add more content to also add a way to restrict the context of whatever question that you ask. And so maybe the manual about my mulcher has gardening associated with it, and the anything about photography maybe has photography associated with it. And then when I ask a question, make sure that you pre-select the knowledge based on those tags. And I think Open Web UI does. That's one of the things that I really, really love about that tool, is that it makes it really easy to add content in, but then also tag that content specifically with different topics. And you could have multiple tags for any given paper, but then when you do a search, you can say, I only want to ask against LLM research, or against lighting topics, or whatever else it is. At least that way it filters down all the knowledge into a specific area, and that way when you ask a question, it filters it further. It's only going to filter down information that is actually relevant to your question. It's way too easy to try to ask all the knowledge about something, and then you'll get, sometimes you want bits and pieces from totally different topics for putting together, trying to be creative. But often, if you're trying to get an answer to an actual question, you want to ask the question against your specific context that you care about. So I always have to remind, anytime somebody brings that up, like, I don't know. Have you used Ollama with AP? Oh, Mikhail, where are you? The fact that you're using Cyrillic in your name puts you in a specific area, I assume. But I'm curious where you are in the world. Have you used Ollama with APIX Drive? No. APIX Drive. Online connector. Automate through a web interface. So I guess this is like NAN or Huggin, or what else is there? Lots of other tools. Zapier. If this and that. Based in Sunnyvale. I lived in Sunnyvale for a while. I lived in a house that felt almost exactly same layout, same weird people as in the TV series Silicon Valley. Exactly the same, except I don't think we had a pool. Not that I really know, because I never went to the backyard. But which seems like a really weird thing to say, but I never went to the back. Anyway, I lived in a house just like that. APIX Drive. Interesting. It's interesting that is it a UI? Because they don't show any UI. They're home. So, okay, let's go through some more questions. Looks like my wife's home, so I might have to leave pretty soon. Let's go to the notebook. I use Obsidian for digital notes. Is a Markdown file editor. I love Obsidian. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about Moffat and Tampa. Can you make a video about synthetic data sets? That sounds good. Synthetic. Yeah, I don't know how they might. I really appreciate it if you figure out the multimodal stuff. I'm setting up the Ollama agent roll cage. Ah, yes. You're yes, I know the video. I hope it's really hard to make videos that if you can I hadn't watched the last one, but if you can really not just narrate at the whole process of doing whatever you do, but really try to condense it and get all the stuff into a shorter period and prep and plan. Because if it's if a video is boring, people aren't going to stay. I found that myself. Some of my videos can be a little bit longer than they should be, and yeah. Release the next update, but missing audio, image audio is bad. Tried Mojo, it was scrolled. Tried Mojo is kind of clunky to set up. It's interesting, but definitely not ready for production. Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about it. Who actually asked me about Mojo? Oh, Bazooka Tooth. Bend is made by NVIDIA, like Mojo, very new language. You have a few technical issues. Like three short. Yes, that is three. Well, maybe rather than complaining about my three short videos, uh, acknowledge that I am so persistent. I tried 4 times to get this stream to work, and here we are, the fourth time. And so when I finish this one, I'll go and clean up those other three. I'll. But thank you, Nate. By the way, Nate from We Are Family, uh, is probably one of the biggest fans. I don't know. It seems to be around for a lot of my streams that I do either on my own or with Ryan, my former colleague from Datadog. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Do you think using the LLMs are a good tool to use when learning to program? I'm not really talking about local LLMs, mainly GPT-4 or Claude Opus. Yeah, I mean, I think yes and no. Um, I think if I was back in college right now, I mean, I'd totally use it because I'd probably totally use it just to get the exercise done so I didn't have to do it. But I think if you'd use it right, it can be really useful to help either help come up with the first version that you can tweak, or especially if you have some code that it generates, you know, really they tend to do a good job of explaining here is step by step what's going on in this application. And I think for that it's amazing. And you know, the first version never works out of any LLM, any model, any GPT-4. You know, the first version of that code that I get from ChatGPT or from anywhere else never works. And so trying to run it and then seeing what the problem is, try to figure out the problem myself, and then if I can't figure it out, hand it back to the model to try to figure out is definitely a great learning experience. You know, you can fumble around, try to figure out what's going on, and then when you just hit a wall, you can ask the model for, well, how do I solve this? Or I've solved it this way. How would I go any further? Or what are some other ways of solving it? So I think if you use the different models, and it doesn't really matter whether you're using a local LLM or GPT-4. I'd say, you know, there's some benchmarks. Benchmarks are always garbage, but there's some benchmarks that will suggest that GPT-4 or GPT-3 is always better than certain other models. I think that's definitely not always the case. There are definitely sometimes the answers I get from GPT-4 are garbage, perhaps sometimes even more garbage than the answers I get from StarCoder or from other models, local models, saying that one is always better than the other is not just simply not true. I think it's an amazing resource to use as long as you're not just using the resource to do your work for you. I think Chris Latner is behind Mojo. Chris Latner. That name sounds familiar. Chris Latner. Hmm. Who is Chris Latner? Secondary connection. Modular AI. Let's close my messages. Let's see. I don't know anything about this person. Apple. Oh, hey, do I know this person? No. Hmm. Okay. Eric Bachman, is your is your refrigerator running? Yes. Great show. Yes. Silicon Valley was a great show. I was thinking about labels, but I became interested in the possibility of filtering the data going to the LLM through my expert assessment during the request. Good answer. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Comparing vector data. Yes. So I did a video about ChromaDB about a year. No, I was about to say about a year ago. About 2 months ago. A year in AI time, I guess. And the original goal was, okay, well, this is great. I mean, doing a video about ChromaDB, it's somewhat easy to do. I can just start banging these out and go through all the different vector databases. You know, there's probably about 50 sort of mainstream vector databases. And man, that'll like fill me up for a year of content. And the second one I started looking at was Milvus, which could be one of the more complicated ones. I mean, I should have just gone to another simple one, but I went to another, like the super complicated one. And it's like, this is more work than I planned on. So, but I really would like to go through the different vector databases, you know, if see if some of them are just a place to store things. There's some vector databases that add a lot of, you know, value add on top of just storing the vectors and doing a similarity search. And I just don't I don't know enough about it. Or is it even needed in the first place? Yeah, so you know, you don't, to do a simple RAG system, you don't need a like an official vector database or a database that was designed for vector. You could do all this stuff in you know, a JSON. In fact, the first few RAG systems I built were just using JSON. JSON was my data store, and so each chunk I would embed and store that in JSON and do a search in JSON. But I think it's doing a search in something like ChromaDB, which is just SQLite, is usually going to be faster than doing a search on a regular file system file, just because of amazing stuff they do in databases. And so, if your data store gets big enough, it's always going to be faster in a database that's designed for doing that kind of searching. So no, you don't need it, depending on how big your data store is going to get. Now with Chroma, I think there's a limitation. The SQLite official like limitations are extremely high, but there are limitations that are a lot smaller than the theoretical limits, just around file sizes on different operating systems. because SQLite stores in a single file on a single system, and much larger scalable databases can scale or expand over multiple pieces of hardware, multiple machines. Or if it just a simple pandas polars with custom functions similar to, yeah, I mean, as I say, that was my first examples. I think using something even as simple as ChromaDB is going to be faster. I think it'll be an interesting connection with Obsidian. There will be a video about Reor. I think it'll be interesting in connection with Obsidian. There will be a video about Reor. Reor. Is Reor a thing? Reor project? Not a very interesting page. Oh, there we go. I don't. All I see is it just an ugly Obsidian? Is there more to it? I guess okay. It's trying to integrate AI into the base of the note-taking tool. Interesting. Is there a close to production RAG application? Oh, seems every time somebody posts something, my chat window goes all over the place. Okay, is there a close to production RAG application? I've had zero success getting one-to-one. Tried Verba with no luck on a Windows machine. I don't know. I think I think any production application takes a long time to build, to get right, to think of all the edge cases that you need, and RAG as a concept, I think it's been around for a long time, but in the current version of things with local either local LLMs or even with some service is relatively new. And there are some polished applications out there. I think of like, is it MindMac on the Mac as being a pretty polished application, though even that has issues. I think it's just early days, and there's so many people that are building out these applications, and all of them are trying really cool, interesting ideas. And there still needs to be one that comes in and really tries to do it right, and has a team that is dedicated, has a company and a team that works for that company building one great tool. And until that happens, I don't know if it can be one, really great RAG application. I don't know. I keep seeing things that are interesting, but not great. So I hope for that to happen, but I don't know. Chat is amazing for back and forth coding. Yeah, cool. My favorite tool right now on I use VS Code, and so my favorite for coding it for just for the tab completion is I actually pay for it. Let's see, Super Maven. So is this one. It's I think it's like $10 a month. Yeah, $10 a month. But what's interesting is the 300,000 token context window. And so for a lot of applications, it can fit the whole application in there. And what's nice, the thing that's really special is, let's see, does it, as you do the tab completion, it will pull in the variables that are in your application. And you with Copilot or any of these other, even Continue or that rely on Ollama, the context size becomes a problem. And Super Maven just does an amazing job of creating functions that make sense for my application with the parameters that I actually have in my application. So I think what Super Maven is doing is amazing. I feel like this is the one that is, yeah. Oh, hold on. Oh, hi.
What's going on?
Hi, I can stop anytime.
No, I just wanted to know. Do you want to say 5:30?
Yeah, or 5. Okay. So Super Maven, I believe, founded by Jacob Jackson, who created Tab9. So Tab9 was the first of these kind of AI models for doing code completion. Way before Copilot started, Tab9, doesn't sound like, I thought Tab9 was an Israeli company, but is... Because the only reason I say that is they sent me a T-shirt, and the T-shirt ended up being like, I don't know, 52 sizes too small, but it was like sent overnight from Tel Aviv, so either maybe it's just their marketing team was based in Israel. Okay, so anyway, I really like Super Maven. That is not what we need. That's not what we need. That's not what we need. Where was I? Oh, I was over on here on a different tab. Oh, I was on the super. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Ollama and Open Web UI and Search NG. Is it searching? Is it searching? Is it Sear XNG? I don't know. I feel like the SEARX is like search. I live in on Bainbridge Island near Seattle, and there's the Suquamish reservation is very close to here, and so I often see that language on signs around here, on local high schools, local elementary schools, and other places, and that they use letters very differently than and with subscripts and superscripts, and it looks like a really interesting language. I would love to spend more time and understand how does that language sound, but I don't know why that's relevant. But search, I feel like it's search, or is it searching? Search NG anyway. I don't know. I think everybody's going to be confused about that name. But search, that product, SEARXNG, is really cool. It's a way of running a local search engine. In fact, I think I have it here. Localhost port 3. Okay, maybe I don't have Docker running. Starting the Docker engine. And now refresh this. Oh, it's just starting. Maybe it's not port 3000. What port am I on? 3333. That would do it. 4 3s. It's just a simple search engine, but what's really neat is, what did we just talk about? We talked about Verba. Not Verba. Verba. For RAG. And there we go. And so, Verba from Weaviate. And so what it just did there was it did the search, I think, on either just one or maybe multiple search engines, but each request to the search engine, I think, looks like it's coming from a different user. So there's no way for Google or other search engines, DuckDuckGo, Google, Brave, or anyone else, to figure out all these requests that are coming in for different topics actually come from the same person. So it's just really interesting. And then down here you can see, can I zoom in? I used to know how to zoom in. Maybe I turn that off. Anyway, it's nice to see where these search results come from. It's just a neat, and then it has a really great API that you could use to do searches. So it's super cool. Those vector databases are highly related to the embedding for multimodal. Look at 11 Labs. We taught the machine to sing. 11 Labs is pretty cool. Gets expensive quickly, though. I need to build my own for this exact reason. Wow. This chat's getting complicated. I don't understand some of the things in here. Dropping Ollama? You're dead to me. No, I'm just kidding. OpenWeb UI has received a very serious update. Really? Tell me more. OpenWeb UI. I would be very happy if you could make a course on OpenWeb UI. You already introduced it, but I cannot use it professionally. Okay. I'd love to. What happened recently? Roadmap? Not really roadmap. It's release notes. I feel like features, tutorials. Oh. How come they don't have a release notes page? Maybe it's under GitHub. Releases. Okay. Pipeline support. OpenWeb UI pipelines. Cool. Function calling by pipelines. Interesting. I know nothing about this. OpenAI compatible plugin framework. Oh, this is an OpenWeb UI thing. No, an OpenWeb UI initiative. Oh, interesting. Okay. Cannoli? What? What is cannoli? Man, what is up with you people coming up with all these new ideas? Cannoli. Obsidian. What is cannoli? LLM scripts using the Obsidian Canvas editor. That's pretty interesting. Huh. Well, that looks really cool. That's a pretty neat idea, but except it doesn't support Ollama. Oh, it does support Ollama. But only through OpenAI API. I think. Is that what it's saying? Or is it actually using the native? Oh, no, you're choosing Ollama. Okay, cool. I'll have to check that out. Gotta write it down. Cannoli. Cannoli Obsidian. I used to, living in Boston for a while, you go up into the north end of Boston, and there are two places that make cannolis and other kind of Italian-American kind of desserts. And the lines out of that side of those places is always crazy long. I've never. I think I've gone in once when you go on an off day and go and actually get the cannolis. They're pretty amazing. Pretty amazing stuff. So I like real cannolis. I'm interested to see what these cannolis are like. I use Search NG. I'm just going to go with Search NG. I'm using Search NG with Ollama, superpower combo. Yep. Yeah, but is it Search? It is SEARX new generation, but it's SEAR. I like Search. Search NG. Okay. Open Web UI supporting Search NG may give Perplexica some competition. Yep. Yeah, there. Yeah. Yeah. LangChain supports Search NG. Search. When I saw that, I tried it. It was amazing. Cool. Strange still posting, but don't see any of my posts. Strange still posting. Huh? Not sure I understand that. Or are you referring to you make a post on my YouTube channel and you're not seeing that? Because one is possible. I actually plugged Search NG into Crew AI one time. Worked fine. Yep. Yeah, totally. Canola is sick. Yes. No. Yes. No. It is. It is good. It's bad. Borch, now you're confusing me. It's normal Ollama. Make an AI that scrapes your chat data and records for video ideas. Yes. 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 Yeah, my chat data as well as my the what am I trying to say? The words that have come out of my mouth. The transcription. Is it transcription? Yeah. You won't see it in the chat if you're trying to post a link or something. Oh, okay. So if you're trying to post in here in this live chat and you're not seeing anything, then maybe you're trying to post a link to something and that might not work. That makes sense. The other thing is if you post a comment on my YouTube channel, I actually have to approve all comments. I mean, I don't have to, but I've turned that on so that for all comments on any video, I need to approve it because sometimes I get some really weird stuff, and sometimes it's just like flat out wrong or really applying AI to like the really weird stuff. And I sometimes I kind of don't want that on the channel. Sometimes it's I don't know, and I let it sit there for a while I figure out whether I really want that comment to show up. I sent the link to Superlink's VectorDB comparison. It didn't go through. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. The Superlink. I often bring it up in my videos or in the live streams. So Vector Hub, but not vectorhub.com, by Superlinked. And this is amazing. You go up to the VDB comparison, and there's this amazing comparison. They update it. I learned about this from one of their VCs told me about it, and it's really cool. And so Chroma. So whenever I say Chroma is really simple, you look at this list and it's like it doesn't have any of the features. But I think that's one of the real benefits of Chroma is that it doesn't do most of the stuff or a lot of the stuff that some of these other vector databases do support. And I think that's a benefit. It does one thing and it does it really, really, really well. Oh, I remember thinking to myself, somebody said something. I should say something about it. And now I'm trying to remember what that thing was. I feel like I can't remember what it was. Ah, it wasn't. I mean, Quark, way back at top, said Dino like a dog. Dino, D-E-N-O. Node is N-O-D-E, and Dino is D-E-N-O. That's I don't know why. I don't know why that stuck in my head. But and did we ever answer if Quark, your name is at all? You've chosen that name at all because of the beer? I feel like I need to know this. Yeah. So I love this. I love this this site. Gonna take a long time. You're gonna need moderators for your channel. Yeah. Quark like an alias. Yeah. I mean, is Quark because of, or does Quark actually mean an alias? But is Quark actually based on the beer name? Because Quark. Oh, okay. If you don't know about Quark, we got to go look at Quark the beer. Beer. And is it Quark or oh, it's KWAK. So you go into any bar that actually sells Quark on tap, they will probably have the glasses as well. And there's the glass. Can we get a picture of Quark? Just, yeah, I'm 21. So there's the bottle. Quark like croc. Oh, interesting. And so it's this it comes in this bottle. The glass does not stay up on its own. It'll just fall over, so you need to put it in the holder. But by the time you've drunk half of it, the whole glass is sticky and the whole holder is sticky. It's like this really sticky experience. But as you drink it, eventually air starts going into that pocket down at the bottom. It goes quack. I don't know if it's which one came first, but it's really cool when you start drinking. And especially if you have a few, that gets more and more entertaining the more you drink. Quack like croc. Okay. Please have a look at Seme4AI. Their action server repository. Really amazing. I'll love it. Okay. I'm looking for search. I'm looking for Sem4AI. Sema4AI. Nice. And they're cool. So their action server repository. Yeah, sure, whatever. Nice site. Cool. This looks good. That's boot scene from the Beer Fest movie. What? What Beer Fest movie? Beer Fest? I don't know anything about this. Oh, I do know this. Okay. Because I did see Das Boot. I feel like it was one of those movies my brother made me sit and watch. Oh, message retracted. I yeah, I say silly things too. Um, I will definitely take a look at. I feel like I need to go look at. Yeah. Um, if I was making an assumption based on the name, if that is any way offensive, I apologize for that. But I was thinking it was. I was thinking of something else. But anyway, Beer Fest. That is. I feel like a movie I need to see again. Or maybe I'm gonna see it and think, oh my god, why did I watch that again? I wonder if it's streaming anywhere. But 7.4 AI, I will check that out. A vid or more on using Ollama with Codestrol. Oh, is that one of the newer models? Codestrol. Mistral's Codestrol. Codestrol? Hmm. Yeah, wasn't that one that was just added in the Ollama? Was that one of the ones that was in the last release or two? Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Cool. 22 billion parameter model. Nice. How are anyone is anyone using the new features that were added pretty recently um for loading multiple models at the same time and for responding to multiple prompts at the same time? Anybody actually using that? Um, and then also in the um, same kind of question. Anybody using the new uh, other new parameter for Ollama flash attention? Yeah, it's useful. I assume you're answering about my question. Um, flash attention or the what was it? What was the thing called? Multiple models or num parallel and max? It's not max loaded. Was it actually called max loaded? Anyway, hard to find a reason, but flash attention is always on now. Use flash attention. I thought it made responses a little faster. I didn't do any scientific test. So I did a quick sorta test live on a stream, last stream I did, which I think was yesterday. And it seemed to be like minimally faster after I tried a few times. But I couldn't really, I mean, it was like close enough that it might not have been faster. It was like half a second or like half second faster, or if that. So it was really hard to see it if there really was a difference. Prompting and multi models is kind of niche unless you have a job or server. Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of having two models. one that is a coding model and one that is, or actually one that is a, I wish I could prioritize and say, this one always have in memory, and then these other ones kind of load as needed. So, although actually, as I say that, that's a silly thing. Because the one that should be around all the time is actually the smallest and able to load up really quickly. But whatever, so there's the embedding models, but then there's the regular models, and so having, being able to have both of those running at the same time would be really nice. Or a regular model and a coding model at the same time would also be really nice. But I don't know, maybe. Vulture Cloud. I really like Brev as the option, but there's lots of places that you could have, set up a different model on some cloud somewhere. Use it to load 4 models, 3 of them generating results, the 4th acting as a judge. Ah, that's really cool. So regarding the comment about tried both, don't know if parallel models worked, seem to only generate from one model at a time. One of the release notes pointed to the variable wrong. So it was, I can't remember which one. It was like max loaded or max. Anyway, I saw 2 sets of release notes, and one of them called it out wrong versus the other one, which was right. Yeah. So make sure if you run it interactively, sometimes just to do a test, you can set the environment variable and then run it interactively on the command line. Right at the top of, when Ollama starts, you're able to see which environment variables it recognized, and it lists all the environment variables out and whether they're true or false or what the value is. And so there you can see verify. And actually, if you don't start it interactively and just start it as part of a service, I think it might actually be in the logs, what the environment variables are set to. PowerPC is not supported. Only AMD. PowerPC, is that still a thing? J Morgan confirmed 5.3 vision. Okay. Also, classifier models. You should check out my friend Seb DG on Hugging Face. He made emotional Keras. Is 65 megabytes. Can take large text input and output the emotion. That's pretty cool. Okay, so about 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, this door opened. This door behind me, and my wife popped her head around and said, "What's your plan? When are you getting off?" And I said, "Well, when do you need me to stop?" So says, "Oh, well, 5:30. 5:30. Get off and come inside." So it's 5:33. I'm already late, so I'm probably in trouble. Oh, it's 5:32. I'm not as late, but I will be. And so I better go. This is fun. This is always fun. Thank you so much for being here, for asking great questions, for helping fill my other list of ideas. I am going to 33 is the magic number. I got it. What 33? Oh, 33. I thought you were referring to number of counts that Trump was guilty of. Oh, that was 34. Yeah, thank you so much. As I say, this is fun. Legendary knowledge drop. I don't know about that. Legendary. Yeah. Okay, I'm doing my goal. My goal is I'm gonna do these more often. I'm gonna do one of these streams. I'm hoping like every day. We'll see. We'll see if that actually works out. Join if you can. If not, and maybe I should set a time. a specific time to do them. I don't know when that's going to be. Maybe a different time, different days, so different parts of the world can join. Um, and yeah, and then one thing I did for the stream yesterday or the day before, I started plucking out bits and pieces of the stream that were really interesting, and make those available as shorter videos on the channel. So thank you all for being here. Let's tell it to skip ads in a second. Australian time, yes. Cool. Quantization videos. Yeah, me too. I'm yes. Monday versus Friday. Think about Monday, Friday. Different people like different days. Yeah, I know, I know. As I say, I want to do it. There, I come in with almost zero preparation. I don't have to do much to be here. I definitely do stuff after at the end because I need to research all the different ideas. But I think doing them every day would be great. Maybe like on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do it in the morning for me, and Tuesday, Thursday, I do it. On Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I do it in the evening, and maybe Sunday, whenever my daughter goes to pool with my wife. Or now it's 10:30 a.m. here. Well, so this is great for you. Okay. Well, thanks so much. Bye bye. Well, maybe I should put myself on the big screen. Oh, that's not it. That's it. There we go. Hey, there we go. Bye.